when you think about the greatest women's sprinters,
U.S. sprinters.
U.S. sprinters, yes.
In the 100 meters, we're kind of focusing down on that, right?
So this is a hard conversation. The elephant in the room, which I'm going to call out, is the women's world record.
Yes.
And the fact that it was set. Now it's been over 20 years.
I mean, it's coming up on
30 years,
30 plus years, yeah.
So yeah, the whole
we're almost on 40 years.
We know Flo Jo broke this record. She broke it during an era where a lot of stuff happened in track and field, and a lot of stuff never happened again.
Yes.
Since it happened there, there's a lot of reasons why people dispute that. Not going to get into it now.
And that specific race, there's questions around like the wind and like all this stuff. It's like 0-0 wind. There's tons of questions, of course, but I don't know.
I hate like moving somebody off of like the list, but it's almost like it's kind of like where Barry Bonds fell in baseball. Where I don't want to say it's the same. What I'm saying is like people, it's either is he in the conversation or is he not?
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'll give.
So it's like because if she's in the conversation, the whole thing changed.
I'll give her. Flo Jo is in the conversation. Obviously, there's just those asterisks about the time and the race or whatever. But like at the end of the day, she has the gold medal from the Olympic Games. That's the only thing she has in the 100 at least. So like she's in the conversation
because she really had. I call what she did. She had the equivalent of a lightning strike. And I call that it's a Bolt thing. It's a Bolt syndrome where a lightning strike is when somebody comes onto the scene and does things we've never seen before.
Yeah,
it's like a flash. It's like bang, it happened.
Yeah.
Because in track, I mean, these races be pretty fast if you ain't paying attention.
Yeah.
So like,
and I'll be fair to Flo Jo, where in the 200 she actually has a decent career. She won a silver medal in 1984. She won I think a silver medal at the World Championships in 1987, and then she won Olympic gold. But in the 100, she's a one in. Like, I hate to say it, but it's a one and done. Like, she did that 1 year and that was it.
So it is what it is. I say my thought is you give her flowers.
Yeah.
You put her on the shelf and just say, okay, look, this is your spot.
There you go.
And now let's talk about everybody else.
So
who's the everybody else?
So there's a couple people. There's two names. I'll go a little more recent now. Actually, no, I'm going to go in the past. I do like Evelyn Ashford. Evelyn Ashford is...
I honestly don't know much about her.
No. So Evelyn Ashford...
Keep it a buck with you. I know a lot, but I don't know that.
Evelyn Ashford, she's the 1984 Olympic champion in the 100-meter dash. She broke the world record twice. She's the first person to ever run sub 10.8 seconds. She ran 10.79 and 10.76 all the way back in the 80s. So she was really dominating. And then she won silver behind Flo Jo in 1988. So she actually has a crazy career in the 100-meter dash.
Okay.
Yeah, she's before either of us were born.
So she's a trailblazer. She's the people who laid the foundation because the landscape wasn't what it is now.
It wasn't. Again, neither of us were born when she was competing, but she was the one.
I mean, again, the reason why eras do matter is because when people play the whole like this person in this era conversation, what they don't seem to take into account is if you send one of these sprinters now back in time, they don't develop the way they did now.
It's a good
because they don't have the same resources,
technology, all that stuff.
Like, what does Sha'carri Richardson look like in that world?
Yeah,
meaning those coaches, training. Ain't no Normatec, ain't none of that. Theraguns, ain't none of that.
It's true. It's
all
true.
We got is maybe some ice for you.
It's true. So that's fair. So I'll give Evelyn. I don't know if who else are you kind of thinking in the conversation?
I mean, you brought it up. I mean, Gail Devers. She's part of that window when I was just getting into the sport.
Yeah, she's.
So I remember recognizing her face and being like, "Oh wow, this is Marion Jones is one of those asterisk names where it's like, she was dominant, and then a lot of stuff went down.
That's crazy. I wasn't even thinking of Marion.
She
was of all that stuff
in 2000. Sydney, that was her.
That was her. I mean,
she was the woman that I saw that again like inspired me. Like, whoa, we could do this.
Yeah, man.
So like, it really broke my heart, man, to see. I mean, just everything that played out. But like, I still have the memory.
Yeah.
Of watching her cross these lines first.
That's fair. I'll also give some more recent is Carmelita Jeter, where she's she won the 100 in 2011. She has I think 3 bronze medals in 2007, 2009, and another year as well. And she has Olympic silver. So
I think she's coaching at UNLV now.
Yeah, she's at UNLV. Yeah, she was at USC and then she moved to UNLV as a head coach now. And of course, she ran 10.6. She ran 10.64. She ran 10.67 as well. So she has like the times, and she was with the Jamaicans. Like, she was losing to Shelley and Fraser Price and stuff like that. So it's like, but she was holding her own. But she managed to get a gold medal in that era, in the 100. So Carmelita Jeter is definitely in that conversation for me as well.
Okay, so who's your best then? We already put Flo Jo on the shelf, so who you going with?
So for me,
And then the next question is, where does Sha'carri fall into all of this?
all
You
right.
got to go there, man.
All
You
right.
got to.
All right, so-
because nobody else has won 100
Yeah,
at a
yeah.
world or Olympic
Yeah.
final since when's the last woman to do it? Since her?
Tori Bowie. Shout out to Tori Bowie.
She did.
In 2017.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. So for me, I actually put. I'll give you a top 3. I put Evelyn Ashford number 1. I put Gail Devers number 2, and I put Carmelita Jeter number 3.
Okay.
Those would be my top 3. Gail Devers, she won double Olympic gold, and she won 100 gold in 1993. But I think Evelyn Ashford, kind of with that trailblazing aspect, and she was the first woman in history
Yeah, I think you got to put her on the shelf. Yeah.
So
I mean, it'd be like,
yeah.
But that goes back. But see, and you notice we didn't even bring Flo Jo in. So like,
I know.
But see, the issue is like, so what have we been doing for the last 15 years? Like that's
Well,
and by that I mean like when we're having this discussion about greatness, right?
Yeah.
Because people have a recency bias.
Yeah.
No shade at all to like all the respect in the world to the Melissa Jeffersons,
Yeah.
American champion. Like all the respect in the world to these women who've done amazing things. And then Sha'carri, she won an Olympic trials.
Yeah.
And then after that, she has proved herself now getting back to the top of the world, literally.
Yeah.
So like, but I'm saying like the recency bias, when we're talking about greatness, it
it's
feels like if I'm going to apply the same standard I applied to the men,
Yeah.
then we just got people with applications, man. They got greatness applications like for the Hall of Fame, but like it's
Yeah.
hard for me to stamp that thing and say
It's
you
true.
in.
It's true.
Like, okay, getting
Man.
into the Hall of Fame versus like getting into like Mount Rushmore. Let me say it that way.
Yeah. It's
There-
fair. Yeah. That's a whole different.
If you win a world, you made it in the Hall of Fame. Sha'carri, you're in. But like when it comes to like that Mount Rushmore of like the
That's
greatest
a whole
of the great,
thing.
like, and we're just talking in this country.
Yeah.
Like the criteria is pretty steep when you
Yeah.
start looking back across the years.
I'll also give I was just thinking about it now. I'll give a shout out to Lauren Williams. She won
She was just like the Justin Gatlin of her era as far as like sticking around.
sticking around. She was around for so long. She has a world championship title, I think, in 2005, and she has world silver and an Olympic silver in the 100. So, like, Lauren
I would love to just hear her talk about like what her career experience really was, man.
Yeah, man. She's
Like if I had that opportunity, because like she's another one who inspired me. I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Like watching her, and again, it was the longevity. You know you're killing it if we get tired of you. Where it's like they still running,
Man.
they still here.
Yep. I think
And
what's crazy is Lauren Williams might have run on the relay in 2012 also. Like, this is the later part of her career, and she might have been in, like, the prelims in the 4x1.
I mean, USA had some issues in those relays.
Of course.
And on the men and women's side, we didn't even get into that. I mean, I feel like, man, that's a whole nother video.
Yeah.
But
But-
4x1 USA.
What do you think? All right, so let's talk about Sha'carri. I mean, let me give it to you first. What do you think about Sha'carri in terms of like all-time American sprinters in the 100-meter dash?
We're talking about trajectory. So the thing is, what she's done to this point means that we're watching you.
Yeah,
That's the best way to put it.
yeah.
We're watching you.
That's fair.
I can't, like, again, I'm saying this as from the outside.
Yeah,
She's won the worlds. She's got a lot of competition along the way.
absolutely.
As far as like women who are obviously top tier.
Yeah,
But we're focusing on the 100, and I would say it's the challenge is like it's not. We can't just give you the crown.
No,
like,
of course, of
like you
course.
got the only way to take the crown. You got to snatch that thing.
of course, of
And
course.
if that's gonna go to her, then from where we are, because she's 23,
Yeah, she has.
and that's what
years to go.
like she's got to being the problem with being the greatest American is that like you can't actually be just the greatest American. You actually have to be the greatest in the world
Yeah.
to get in the conversation as the greatest American.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
the thing.
Yeah,
Because she might be the fastest American for a while, but she's gonna have to put up with Julian Alfred and others.
And
the
all
thing
of
is,
them.
because they're all young. Like
All of
Julian's
them.
22.
Julian is younger. Exactly.
Yeah,
right?
so it's like people be acting like that's not a thing, but it is a major component that
Yeah.
like we don't even really acknowledge you to like that gold she won. That was the validation that Sha'carri needed
Yeah.
to now even start the conversation.
Yeah, because she beat out, like you said, she beat out Julian and Shellyanne and Sharika, but she still has to do it again. But I think I think it's fair. Like, she's not one of the greatest yet in terms of all-time career.
Yeah, but that's
Right?
saying a lot
And,
because
I mean, yes, granted, it's
because it's not like what we've seen from her has been so far and away impressive compared to what other athletes are doing.
Yeah.
Getting the win is what matters. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But as I say, like it's not the same thing
Yeah.
as actually
Being like You got to be greatest in the world, like at least in your time period. So it's fair, right? And we spoke about Carmelita Jeter, Lauren Williams. They have multiple medals. I think Sha'carri is on that trajectory.
Yeah, but people are coming for that as well.
But I think Sha'carri is at least in a position where she is, unless like something crazy happens, she is very likely going to be one of the greatest American sprinters in the 100-meter dash.
I mean, I'll end my thoughts this way. I knew she was special her freshman year of college because what Sha'carri is doing, and this is put it in perspective. So no, we can't just give you the crown, but let's talk about where you're at on the trajectory. She comes out of high school, and SCA, I wasn't even putting out recruiting rankings or anything like that at that time yet. But yes, she was the best sprint recruit that year. Like that's just what it was.
Yeah, she was.
So she was the best in high school, goes to college, and by the end of her freshman year has figured it out to win the 100 and wins it in record-setting time for the college level. 2020. A lot of stuff went down. We all know why. So there was nothing for her to compete for, not legitimately. 2021, she wins Olympic trials. Yeah. We never really thought what she could do. From there, by 2023, she is the world champion. That's just what it was. Yeah. She's the world champion. She was the American champion. Nobody really doubted that. The real question I think that we're addressing is, are there any other Americans who can run with her
right now?
I mean,
current era.
Is there a name that you think, if it ain't her, who it's going to be? That's the real conversation that we never had.
Well, I know.
Right now, I don't see a name
there's no
that I can honestly say in 2024, if it's not Sha'carri, then who in the 100?
I mean, yeah, probably Sha'carri is obviously by far. But I mean,
great women. Great women.
I would say Aaliyah Hobbs, Melissa Jefferson, they have that potential. Even TT Terry and Tamari Davis, they have a lot of potential. I thought last year Aaliyah Hobbs, she got injured, but she was kind of on a trajectory of like, I can do something really special. She's been dealing with so many injuries, but yes, Sha'carri is like obviously currently.
I mean, greatness is a very privileged group.
Yeah.
Aaliyah Hobbs is an incredible talent. I acknowledge it and I move on. Micaiah Briscoe gets slept on because she basically does it indoors.
That's true.
Like, there's a lot of great talents.
Yeah.
People who got all the talent that we wish we had, and probably most of the people watching. Like, I'm just being honest. Because to make it to that level, you got to be special.
You have to.
Like, it's not just good.
Yeah.
Not just great. You got to be special.
Yeah.
But then now we're talking about the greatest of the great, just to even get in this conversation.
It's fair.
So for that reason, if it's not Sha'carri, then who?
My name is Anderson from The Final Leg.
And I'm Coach Rob from SCA Track and Field. And thank you for watching this segment from The Finish Line.
If you want to know what's really going on at the high school and college level, be sure to subscribe to Coach Rob Track and Field.
And if you want more content on the best track and field athletes in the world, be sure to subscribe to The Final Leg.